So that was definitely something. I've seen reactions all over the place on this, and so I want to get your guys' reactions, of course, and we're joined by Derek, Ash, and John to go over the Smash Brothers Direct. I'll start off real quick with my overall thoughts. I thought that was good. I think if you ignore the character aspects, I thought it was a really good Direct. When you bring in the characters is when it seems to be what's causing the very mixed reaction to the Direct overall. I myself thought the characters looked really cool. I didn't get Geno, of course, which is disappointing. Overall, though, I thought it was a solid Direct. It didn't blow me away, but some of the stuff in there looked super cool, including the World of Light mode. I'm sure we'll all have a lot more to say about that. So how did you guys feel about the Direct overall?
I think people's opinions are maybe a case of having too high of expectations. Because
think?
Sakurai did say to us, he did say, keep your expectations low, there aren't going to be that many more new characters. So we of course went, hey, maybe there's going to be 15 new characters and just 2. But yeah, they do look like awesome characters. But I guess the focus of this Direct was on modes, and World of Light looks so good.
That is what we wanted, right?
Exactly,
yes.
And yeah, it was the mode of the presentation for me, and that opening alone was so amazing. So yeah, I can't wait to see more of that.
I want to say real quick, a shout out to Derek he mentioned in the Direct or in the predictions about there being 3 Master Hands, and I kind of like laughed it off. And he was closer to the truth than we thought. So.
I was just a little off. The fact that there's a line in there by Marth saying, "Oh, looks like each of us is going to have to take 10 of them." Mm-hmm. So 74 characters, that many Master Hands, 10 each. So there's over 700 Master Hands they have to fight in that scene. Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah. To piggyback off of what John said, I completely agree. World of Light was the mode of the Direct for me. I cannot wait to see more of that. When you first hear that the main theme with the vocals come in, that just blew me away. I'm like, I did not expect this song to have vocals. That cutscene was everything. Did you see the map screen? I need to know more about this mode. But to answer your question, Andre, I'm kind of where you are. It was good, not great necessarily. Right. I would be lying if I said I wasn't feeling just a bit deflated from the characters, even though, and it's not because of the number of them, but just because I don't personally care about Incineroar that much. Although I will say it does look pretty cool. So I'm kind of a good, not great, kind of like you, Andre.
Yeah, I haven't been too invested into the recent Pokemon games, so Incineroar, I don't think I even knew who he was before the rumors started going around about him. With that said, the trailer, first off, I love the reveal trailer for him, which, Derek, you completely nailed, by the way, with Ken and Incineroar appearing in a fighting ring together, which is really well done. I thought they did great on that. Incineroar himself looks awesome, just visually. And I think it looks like a lot of fun to play. He's got a different play style than we've seen from really any other character. And I loved how even in the trailer, again, the contrast with Ken kind of exhibited that. Even though they're both fighters, they both play very different to one another. And then, of course, we have PD Piranha, which we'll get into probably a little bit later.
Not even PD Piranha,
Piranha Plant, right.
Yeah.
That is a mistake we keep making. I do it too. But yeah, as far as overall, I agree. I actually really enjoyed this Direct. Maybe it's because I was very busy during the kind of saggy middle portion when they were going over every granular little thing because we were working on so much else. But as far as World of Light, totally agree with you guys. I don't know how other people feel about Spirits mode, and we'll of course get into that much more so, but I love it because event matches have always been one of my favorite things about Smash, and always kind of disappointed me when we only ever got 50 or 51 or however many that Wii U had. So to have a mode completely dedicated to that and all these crazy matchups and things to earn, that is completely down my alley. This is some real meaty single-player content that I wanted, and I am so happy for that. As far as Incineroar's inclusion, not my... As I said during the predictions, I would have preferred Decidueye, but it kind of makes sense. I think Incineroar is very popular in Japan, so that makes sense to me. And as far as him getting in the way, did not expect the Little Mac fight to begin with, which makes a lot of sense when you think about it. But yeah, as far as Incineroar coming in to fight Ken, I didn't know that was going to happen for sure, but I'm pretty proud of that prediction. But even though I'm not a big fan of Incineroar, love his moveset. He looks awesome.
Yeah, there was never going to be a situation where they wouldn't add a Gen 7 Pokemon. Because Pokemon is the biggest franchise in the world, at least one of them. And yeah, we've been saying Incineroar for a while, and it has been between him and Decidueye. but I kind of like Incineroar. They've been adding a lot of heavy characters to Ultimate, which I really appreciate. Because so far, before that, the roster was pretty much medium and light orientated. So it's great that we now have K. Rool and Ridley and now Incineroar. So he definitely gives a lot more diversity to the roster. But yeah, he looks so good, as Andre said. Like, graphically, his fur texturing puts Donkey Kong's to shame. He's just so impressive.
And I do love how they go, like, full on with the pro wrestler angle, like how after every successful hit, he'll do, like, a pro wrestling pose. Of course, it's important that you can cancel out of them. I think Incineroar players would be pissed off if that was the required thing after every successful hit. But I do like that they're going all in with the pro wrestler angle, because that's something that not any other character has. So despite
just a neat little flair unique to that character, and it reminded me a little bit of like when you do a triple jump in Mario, how he puts his arms out at the end if you want him to, like in celebration. That's like every move for Incineroar. That's great.
Yeah, I do love the side special where he makes the opponent run the ropes. Like, that's such a perfect move for him, and it's just like when I first saw that, I just laughed. I'm like, that's perfect.
I really love just everything about him as far as all that, but I do like that he has a built-in weakness. His recovery kind of sucks. Like, he has that upward motion, but then he immediately dives down. So if you don't have your spacing right, you're taking a dive into the off of the stage.
You have to be careful when you're using it on stage too, just because if you have your spacing off, you're kind of like Little Mac's side special. You're just going to go sailing right off the stage.
Alright, so it sounds like we're all pretty big fans of Incineroar, even if we weren't originally. What do we think about Ken, which is perhaps the least surprising fighter being added to the game? They went in depth over how he plays different to Ryu, including the fact he actually moves a little bit faster.
I'm super happy to see Ken here. Like, to me, he's Ryu, but interesting. Like, Ryu is never... I'm sorry, Ryu is just Ryu is like the most generic character to me. I mean, yes, he's an icon and he should be here, but I've always liked Ken more, so I'm really happy to see Ken here. And I like how they brought over, you can do command inputs with Ryu. You can do that with Ken as well to get different kicks, because Ken has always been more, he's known for his kicks. So I think that's really cool. He's got his Flaming Shoryuken. I love that he has 2 final smashes, the Shinryuken. I can't remember the name of the other one, but they really did a great job kind of transplanting him over from Street Fighter. And actually, of the two, I'm actually more excited about Ken just because I really like the character.
Ken is just the quintessential Echo fighter, so it makes so much sense to have him here. And I've been quite torn whether I want Ken or Akuma, and I think Ken makes more sense. He's a bit more iconic, but Akuma might have been a little bit more interesting, at least move-wise, but maybe you're getting a bit further from Echo if you went with Akuma.
Yeah, I think that would be the big thing there. Because he's still mostly the same as Ryu, just those little changes that he has within the rest of the Street Fighters. And I'm all for it. I like the way he looks. He seems to play pretty well. I never really used Ryu that much in Smash, but I'm totally cool with Ken actually being here. But I think the bigger discussion is, were these two characters the right choices to end off the hype cycle?
The way I see it, the direct we had before this with Simon and Richter and King K. Rool, that was such an amazing lineup,
right.
And maybe it didn't need to be as amazing as it was. Like,
I mean,
they could have saved K. Rool for this direct, I think, and it would have been a bit more interesting.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right. I mean, well, clearly going into this direct, there was mismatched expectations across the board, and that definitely led to a lot of people being let down by it, I think. I think maybe had they repositioned some of the character reveals, they could have maybe spaced out a little bit better. Like having King K. Rool here might have helped. But then again, that will come at the expense of the previous direct. So, or not the previous one, but the one King K. Rool was in. So it's tough, I'm sure it's tough as a developer too to know how people are going to react to these characters, especially when you're trying to appeal to like different continents entirely. Who have different expectations. And then you have these leaks come out which aren't even leaks, completely throwing off people's expectations.
It's funny too, because if you think about it, let's just say for a second that they reversed the order of the reveals, and the Castlevania characters came in this direct. This is right next to Halloween, so that would have been quite appropriate if you think about it. But yeah, I see what you're saying, Andre. Like, it's hard to, you can never really know how people are going to react to a character. Personally, I don't think ending off on Ken and Incineroar was the right move. I think, maybe they could have split up Simon and Richter, or, again, have K. Rool, because you have Simon and Richter, and that's such a huge deal in the previous direct. Maybe save K. Rool for this direct. Like, I think that would have been maybe a really cool note to end on. But, again, they had their reasons for doing what they did. And at the end of the day, I mean, when I say I'm deflated or slightly deflated, I mean that relatively. This is still a 74 character roster. and we don't deserve Sakurai. Period. Straight up. We don't deserve him.
It is kind of important, I think, to keep your impressions of the Direct independent of the game itself. The game itself, like, I was already sold. They didn't need to add more stuff to it for me to pick it up. But yeah, I mean, so it's okay to be disappointed with the Direct, but just keep in mind that there is a massive game behind this, and the Direct itself, perhaps, if you found it to be disappointing, doesn't undo anything that we already know about. Now, however, they technically didn't end on those two characters, because of course there is that third character being Piranha Plant, also PD Piranha, coming to the game in the form of the first DLC, which will be free if you buy the game before January, I think it was.
Yeah, before the end of January, and he's also completely separate from that pack that's coming out with has the 5 characters, the 5 stages, and the music. So it's just Piranha Plant.
So I predicted that there would be a WTF character, and I have to give them credit. They blew me away with this.
That's for sure.
I did not see this coming.
None of us came close to this.
Yeah, and even more credit to them. They managed to fit in PD Piranha as a playable character technically without me absolutely hating it. So hey, hats off to you, Sakurai, once again.
I love how we thought L Block was a more feasible character than Piranha Plant.
I'm still in a little bit disbelief. I still think that's true. And I guess it kind of leads into who I kind of want to open this discussion with. Ash, I know you had some interesting thoughts on Piranha Plant, but it didn't sound like you were too excited for this particular edition.
Well, I'm really torn, because the actual video of Piranha Plant is really cool, and I think he actually looks like really fun to play. His moves are creative. I like all the different references, like the spike ball from Mario 3. Like, that's all really cool. On the other hand, and I'm going to take some heat for this, but I feel like adding a generic enemy to the roster like this is kind of lowering the bar for what it means to be in Smash Brothers. And I'm not saying Piranha Plant's not a cool enemy. I mean, he is an iconic enemy from Smash Brothers, but he is one of millions of Piranha Plants. And
this is like our Waddle Dee argument all over again.
It's exactly what it is.
It is very familiar.
Yeah.
Also, to go against your thought, Yoshi and his Final Smash referencing the fact that there's millions of Yoshis out there. So
that's a fair point.
Oh, I think in that case, I mean, I think there is the main Yoshi.
Oh no,
there
of
is.
course.
Yeah.
I'm being facetious here.
I mean, okay.
I think even they knew, though, because the way the trailer opens, it makes it look like it might be an assist trophy, because he's just sort of sitting there, inactive, and Mario walks up to him to go and attack. And it's like even Mario's surprised that he attacks back.
Yeah.
And even when he starts attacking, you're still not sure, like, is this an actual fighter? And I think they're trying to keep up that suspense throughout the whole trailer.
Yeah.
So it eventually ends up like he is actually a fighter.
I thought it was going to be a reference to the Piranha Plant that you carried around in 3D World.
Oh yeah. Well, what I thought it was I'm like, is my crazy idea where you can play as assist trophies actually true?
I know. Yeah, because like for the longest time, I really didn't believe we were looking at a regular fighter. I'm like, there's some gimmick going on here. There's some new unrevealed mode that this is happening. Like, this isn't a full fighter. And then lo and behold, Piranha Plant pipes up, I think is what it said. And,
that is what it said, yeah.
Yeah, and so like I said, the character itself I think actually looks pretty cool, but I just, okay, so if we have a Piranha Plant, then why can't the next DLC character be a Goomba? Or, or a Waddle. I mean, hey, this does increase Waddle Dee's chances. There you go.
Where's my bandana D?
I was going to say, this has kind of ruined one of our key arguments in all the Making a Case series about...
I know.
Yeah, totally.
But, I mean, in a way, like, again, this is kind of... I mean, if you take into account the Final Smash... that gives it the PD Piranha angle, which maybe is kind of what they were going with too, like maybe this is more PD Piranha. I don't know how that works.
So does this mean that any Piranha Plant can be PT Piranha?
No, it's Peach. No,
this is another.
It's all over again. What are you doing, John? Oh. God,
just need to give that Smash Ball and becomes Peter Piranha.
I can't deal with this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Ash, I actually totally get what you're saying. Like, I was in similar disbelief when it was happening. But at the same time, like, rewatching the trailer, I'm like, this character actually looks awesome. He looks like a lot of fun to play as. The trailer itself was well constructed. He looks different enough to anything else in the game. I love how they took the time to zoom in on him as he's running. You actually see his little pedals, like his little foot pedals underneath the.
Yeah, his roots are actually feet. It's great.
It's amazing. Yeah, so I mean, I totally get that. On the other hand, it's like, you know what? It's freaking Smash Brothers. Anything can go. Why not have one of the 70 characters be a generic enemy from the most well-known video game series of all time, or one of the most well-known video game series of all time?
Right. I mean, if there was going to be like a regular enemy in the roster from any series, it should be Mario. I mean, that Mario is obviously Nintendo's. At the end of the day, it is their core series. It's their biggest one. if it was going to be any generic enemy, it should have been something from Mario.
Yeah,
So in that sense, I agree.
Not like a Goblin or something.
Right. I feel like it would need to be Mario. Like that just feels right to me. So even if I do feel like the bar has been lowered in the sense of what it takes to be a Smash character, I do 100% agree with you, Andre. The character itself looks really cool, and I'll be playing as him. I mean, he looks really fun. So.
Do you think it would have been a little better accepted by even you guys if they had decided to go the route of multiple Mario enemies? So like Goomba, Koopa, Piranha Plant type thing.
I kind of think they made the right move. Like, Piranha Plant's the most versatile Mario enemy, whereas Koopa's pretty much just spin in their shell, and Goomba's just touch you. So, I feel like Piranha Plant makes the most sense as a fighter, but I'm still kind of with Ash. Like, it does lower the bar.
There is that angle, and I don't know if ending on it as a character was really the best move, just because you could feel. I mean, I wasn't even on social media at the time, and I could tell the reaction was not going to be good to this. I mean, because consider, like, what if instead it had been Gino or Isaac or Banjo or something, right? I think we'd be looking at a very different reaction. I think they did just misgauge a little bit there with how they ended it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm basically with all you guys where I'm excited to play as the Piranha Plant, but I'm not sure how I feel about it as a character getting in. That said, I am very glad it's not part of the DLC. It's a free little extra. It's not taking up a spot, so there are still 5 more characters coming with those stages.
I do like how they presented it as an extra too. It's like if you own the physical copy and claim your My Nintendo points, then you get this as an extra fighter. It's not like they're not treating it like this big DLC character. It's literally something you're getting for free. But it still did take development time, and I can see why people would be a little bit angry. And I am a little bit miffed too.
Although I will say, on the other hand, and this is something we all noticed, just to kind of bring the needle back into the positive sphere a little bit again, I do love his final smash. I love that PD Piranha has the cages from Brawl's Subspace Emissary.
Yeah, that's a great reference.
That is such a cool little detail, so that is one thing I do love about this character.
And that's actually a perfect segue into the Subspace-like adventure mode being World of Light, in which we already kind of touched on it a little bit, but this does seem to be this really is this game's version of Subspace, with like an epic world map, all kinds of cool battles happening, and of course that epic cutscene where you touched on with the fantastic vocals and with actual lyrics, like there's actual words that go to that song. And it was just like a very, I mean, that actually might be the thing I'm most excited about coming out of this Direct. So I figured we should dive into that a little bit more. I know, John, in our predictions, this is kind of what, it sounded like this is what you were hoping for. Does this live up to it?
I mean, I think one of my predictions was that the characters would be voiced, and that was one of the first things that you see in this CG trailer, so I'm very happy about that. The actual cutscene itself, though, it's so hard-hitting. Sakurai has been killing a lot of characters in these trailers leading up to Smash Ultimate, and he just went all out and killed everybody in this one.
I love how there was that question in one of our previous Smash discussions for our Smash blog discussions. There was that one question: who would is the most powerful character in their own game, like as far as that power level rating determines? And I said right away, Kirby. And who is the one survivor of this? Kirby.
That's true, but Kirby was a coward.
It's so true.
Sonic stopped to try and help Pikachu as Kirby, being a cowardly pink blob, just ran away.
Wow, you just called Kirby a coward. I can't. Wow, you just. Wow. I'm so shocked. I have nothing to say about it. I'm just wow. But no, that cutscene really was hard hitting, and I'm really intrigued by the new enemy. Like this, I can't remember the name offhand right now, but maybe one of you do.
Gareem, I think.
Gareem, right. I do. It's just like this kind of creepy angel-like figure. It kind of reminds me of Taboo, but not quite. It's kind of like its own take on that kind of design, and I'm loving that. And it was just really cool. Like that was coming out of the Direct, kind of like you said, Andre. That's what I'm most excited about, I think, when I think back on the Direct.
Mm-hmm. I do hope he's not revealed as Taboo, though, because while Taboo was a cool character, I don't think he has that much relevance outside just being Brawl's final boss. So, like, who do you think this could be? Or is he just a mystical creature?
Yeah, I think it might just be a mystical creature. Like, when I saw all the hands, it's like, I almost interpreted that as, like, this is what everybody's talking about Smash. This is everybody pulling us all in different directions and that type of thing. And I tried to look up the name Gareem, and the best I could find is like a name of a character in some Barut movie or something like that. So I have no idea what kind of thing they're referencing here.
So I'm looking at the press release for this, and they specifically mentioned that they want to keep some elements of this mode secret until the game comes out. So, how much more are you expecting from it? Do you think we will get more like cutscenes such as the one we saw today throughout the story mode, or do you think it may just be like an opening and ending, and then the rest will be handled by the world map?
I at least expect an ending, yeah. But I do hope that the boss characters have cutscenes, because we know Rathalos is in there, and we know Dracula's in there. So I hope at least they have some kind of CG intro, and I guess you might even be able to put Richter's reveal trailer into that, because he has a very short scene where he's protecting Simon from a bunch of fire, presumably Dracula's. So yeah, it'd be cool to have some kind of relevance and tie-in with those.
Yeah, and we've seen the one boss from Brawl, the machine guy, so that's back. So it's definitely where all of our boss fights are going to be. And it's a big world. There's a lot of different things to do in there, it seems. And I'm going to have to take a closer look at exactly what's going to be able to be done. But he did mention that it's quite different from Subspace Emissary and previous adventure modes. So it seems like it's not going to be... Don't expect actual levels. It's definitely just going to be more fights, but it's going to be variations on fights and stuff like that. Which, again, I'm okay with. And I think most people will be, because... nobody really liked the platforming and level exploration of Subspace Emissary.
Yeah,
so,
and I personally wouldn't expect more cutscenes either, just because we know Sakurai has gone on record before stating that because of how the cutscenes in Subspace Emissary were just widely available on YouTube, he didn't, he kind of felt like that deflated the cutscenes or devalued them somehow, which I don't personally agree. I think it's kind of a strange criticism, but if he still feels that way, I wouldn't go in expecting a bunch of beautifully produced, high-quality CG cutscenes.
I'm not so sure, because when they were showing off all the options, there is a movies section, and granted, they could show off all the movies that we've seen up to this point, plus that opening and whatnot. But I feel like there's a lot more movies in Wii U than there has been for Ultimate. So I almost wonder if we will get some cutscenes.
But that is a good point, because most of our cutscenes we've had one for King K. Rool, one for Ridley, one for Simon, and those are the three major ones. Like, there have been a few other ones, like Incineroar and Ken, but that was more on the short side.
And kind of Isabelle, but Isabelle's wasn't exactly super exciting.
Exactly.
Well, speaking of modes, though, another mode we found out a lot more about is Spirits. We finally learned what that whole thing's about. And boy, howdy did they go in depth on this thing. Almost to an unnecessarily granular level, going into how the spirits work. You can level up your character. How there's all these different match types. In a way, I mean, as we're watching it, we kept equating it to basically like the event mode from past Smash Brothers, and that's kind of what it felt like. So yeah, what did you guys think of what we saw of Spirits? Is it what you expected?
Well, I expected Spirits to be World of Light, so I thought it'd be like the adventure mode.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool that it's something different entirely. But yeah, it's not what I expected, but I do like it. And I think the thing I like most is how much franchise representation is in here. Like, there's Fatal Frame characters, there's characters from Sonic and Mega Man. Basically, any franchise you can think of is probably in Spirit somewhere.
Yeah,
there's a lot of deep cut references. We've seen images of like the main girl from Eternal Darkness in here. Like, they are going all out when it comes to this. And I'm really excited for what Spirits mode entails, in earning all of them, seeing all those deep cuts. That something about it, just as soon as I see that, I'm like, I want this. I want to play this. This looks like so much fun. And all the different things that you can do in order to earn those different spirits, whether it's combining some or however. There's a lot of really interesting things there. But it all comes at a cost, and I don't think it's something any of us really expected. And that's the loss of trophies. There are no trophies in this game. And instead it's more sticker-like with this. You kind of did, Ash.
I kind of did predict this, because I was saying that one of my predictions was trophies with a twist, but I didn't think the twist would be that there are none. Like, I didn't expect that at all. And I think that's kind of what's got me feeling kind of down on Spirits mode. Is I am one of those people who does really like collecting all the trophies, reading all the history. I really enjoyed that aspect of Smash, and yes, I know we're getting even more characters than we could ever have gotten as trophies as Spirits, and that's cool, at the same time, it just doesn't feel the same, and it almost feels like they're glorified stickers now. And I get it. I get that it takes so much more development time to model these trophies, to create them. I totally get why they went this direction, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't kind of disappointed that Spirits mode is essentially replacing collectible trophies.
I'm actually okay with it. So trophies, I feel like I've seen enough of them. I've seen over 1,000 of them across all the games. They're cool to look at once, and then that's pretty much it. I said before, like, if they're back, I hope they did something new with them. And in the manner in which they are back this time, they are doing something new with them. So I'm kind of okay with it, even if they are closer to stickers, than trophies this time. But, it's cool that's something new.
And an interesting thing to note as well is just because a character is in Spirits does not mean they can't be a fighter. Because on the site, you can see several variations of characters that are already in the roster. I think we saw some variations of Mario and Yoshi, so it seems like any Spirit that's in there does not deconfirm your hopes for DLC fighters. They can still be in the roster.
It means we can still be spirited about it.
Good one. I do bemoan the loss of trophies. I'm with Ash. I really enjoyed going through them, reading the little bit of history on them. I thought it was a great way to learn about it, but again, with the internet, it's not as important anymore.
I mean, there's Wikipedia entries on every character in this game already. So.
Exactly. So back in, like, when Melee came out, it was a big deal to learn about these franchises you've never heard of before. Nowadays, it's not so important, but they almost feel like they need those descriptions even more now because they are going so, like, way into the well of these characters that you just might not recognize. However, I did spot a description icon or option when you're going through the spirits and how they're all lined up. So I'm wondering if it's either like, here's what it does, or if will get a little blurb talking about their history and what they come from. As long as I have that, I'm happy.
Yeah, I think that would help. For me, I think that would help the spirits feel a little more valuable, like that you're actually collecting a little piece of Nintendo history or video game history like you were with the trophies. So as long as they're not only gameplay functional and actually do have some value beyond that, I think I'll be okay with it. But I do miss that historical aspect of collecting the trophies.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to another mode. I think one of the bigger ones, though, for me, is they finally delved into the online section of the game, how that's going to work. And it seems like they're ditching for fun and for glory, and they're instead doing something new, where you can choose the parameters in which you want to find a match, try and match up with people looking for similar parameters, including based on location as well, which hopefully should help resolve some of those connection issues. So everything I saw about the online, I love it, including they have that awesome looking lobby area for when you're playing with friends, where you can move your icon around and choose like whether you want to spectate a match or you actually want to engage in the match or you want to hang out until the next match. I love that. That's such a freaking cool idea, especially because it looked kind of similar to ARMS' lobby, which I was hoping, which I mentioned before, I hope they took some inspiration from. So yeah, the online to me seems like it could be actually promising this time. Granted, we'll have to wait till we actually go hands-on with it, but it's encouraging. What did you guys think from what you saw of it?
So we didn't really get a look at that 32 character thing that was from that Japanese leaflet leak. But I do love the presets. They're really, really cool. It's great that you're not just stuck with 3-minute time mode if you were doing what was for fun. So you can literally just do 10 minutes, you can do 3 stock, you can do whatever you want. And it'll try and match you up with someone who wants similar tastes, so it feels far more flexible and it makes way more sense for just trying to get what you want online. Because in the past, I'll generally just play with friends with Smash because of how limited the stranger function was. So I think this kind of solves that issue for me.
I also like that your global Smash power actually has a use now. Before it was just okay, I'm stronger than this many people. That means nothing to me.
Right.
It just made no sense. But that now allows you to get into their elite mode, which I'm going to say right now, I'll never get in there. But it is cool that you can get in there and they'll actually look at elite in order to bounce the game further, which is a really cool idea. And I also really like how whenever you beat a player, you get their tag, and you can cash in those tags for stuff to power up your spirits. So I love those. I love when systems interconnect, and seeing that interconnectivity gives me like, oh, cool, I have a purpose to go online and maybe attempt to get a win and not get my butt kicked.
I'm totally gonna play a snake just to collect everyone's tags, much as I did in Metal Gear Solid 2.
We will get one bragging right from reviewing the game, though, is that technically, because we have the copy before everyone else, we can be at the top of the Smash ranking.
for a very brief period of time. That's true.
Exactly.
Very brief.
I wonder if they might reset them upon the launch of the game. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
I mean, maybe the online won't even work until the game launches. So
that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Yeah, so anything else about online, guys, or?
I'm just glad it looks good. We've never really had a Smash Online setup that looks appealing, so good one on that.
I think the main thing for me is that I just hope that when you're playing with friends in the battle arena type rooms, I hope you can freely change your rule set on the fly. Like, I like the idea of presets, I like the idea that they try to match you up with people with similar tastes and rules, I like that. But one of my least favorite things about Smash Wii U's online was that you couldn't just pick your stage when you're playing, even with a friend, like in your own private room. It's still set to, either random or all Omega, whatever. So I really do hope that they allow more flexibility and just picking rules when you're playing with friends. I think that's the one thing I still really want to see.
Well, speaking of things we wanted to see, or maybe didn't see, we saw a lot of new assist trophies, and I think I guess it was actually mostly assist trophies we saw. We didn't really see any new Pokemon, did we?
They didn't show any new Pokemon at all.
No.
Yeah, so I guess let's talk about the assist trophies, including the fact that Shadow is back as an assist trophy, not a character.
That is mean. In retrospect,
so
that is really mean to hold Shadow back for that long.
I don't know why they held back so long on that.
And Isaac, too.
It is mean, but when you look at the roster of assist trophies that we have, this is the best lineup the series has ever had. Like, it's not even close.
Oh my
no
God,
doubt.
Yeah.
And some of the new ones look fantastic. Like the Fatal Frame one is great.
Yes.
They
Never expected that.
Exactly. Like the assist trophies, while it does suck that they're not playable characters, they still look really cool. And I love how interactive they are now too, because you can actually KO most of these assist trophies, and they feel far more dynamic than they have in the past. So I do get that people are upset that Isaac and Shadow aren't playable, but I think they still look really cool as assist trophies.
Yeah, Isaac looks way better as an assist trophy this time around than he did in the original Brawl, where I think all he did was push people.
Right.
Yeah.
He's a little bit more dynamic this time around. But my favorite inclusion here, absolutely Akira from Virtua Fighter. What a weird, out of nowhere choice that just makes me happy.
Yeah, I love that.
Wasn't Akira a Mii costume in Smash 4? So it's nice to see that he's promoted.
One thing, one of my favorite assist trophies, obviously, and I'm going to go there, but I know this is something that both you and I noticed, Derek, is that yes, Dr. Wily is an assist trophy, but more importantly, it's specifically Wily Capsule 7, which Mega Man fans know is probably the hardest final boss in the entire series, one of the hardest fights in the entire series. So I thought the fact that it is specifically Wily Capsule 7 with the tracking homing shots was a really cool reference, and kind of like ribbing Mega Man fans, like, oh yeah, you knew this was coming.
Yeah, but I love the little extra oomph they gave that, because if you defeat Wily, he does go into his Forgive Me pose, which is
so good.
Great little touch.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to finally having a Thwomp assist trophy, which just looks hilarious.
So
and
good.
The Fly Swatter from Mario Paint is also fantastic. Another assist trophy I was surprised by was Springman, because you would think that would be a top contender for a DLC character, but I guess not.
Right, and Ribbon Girl is a Mii costume, so
right.
I guess Twintail might be our arms rep if that is to come to pass.
Yes,
I'd be totally cool with that.
Yeah.
I'd be so down with that.
Bring in Twintail.
Speaking of assist trophies, I think a few are missing from previous entries. We can see all 59 on the site at the moment, but characters like Elecman don't seem to be in the assist trophy roster.
Oh, Ash noticed.
Right, of course I noticed, which I don't necessarily miss Elecman, because it's just Elecman, but it's just kind of strange that they wouldn't bring him back. Like, why not, But at the same time, I'm not crying over the loss of Elecman or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Wily and Zero are way more iconic for the Mega Man series than Elecman.
Exactly.
So I think we've touched on most of the major features. Is there anything major I'm missing, guys?
What do we want as DLC? Is it the same characters we've been saying?
Yeah, that's what I was going to end on. I mean, it's just weird. I guess more my point is, it felt like there was more in that direct than what we've been able to talk about.
I mean, they went into They went into help mode. They went into mob smash. They went into tips. I do like the revamped challenges though. That looks cool. And Ash and I agree. I think the language support options are really cool. But again, that's not exactly exciting.
Yeah, it's also really cool to hear the World of Light theme in Japanese. I might even prefer it. I think it sounds just a little bit better.
You know, something we haven't talked about yet, speaking of DLC, how do you guys feel about the pricing of it? We basically got a season pass kind of model this time, which is something that's never been done with Smash Brothers before. So for $24.99, you get 5 fighters, 5 stages, and various music tracks. Personally, I think that's a fair price.
I think so too.
Yeah, Smash 4's DLC could get quite pricey, because you're not only buying the Wii U version, but also the 3DS version. And there were packs, but when you're going for every single fighter, it did get a little bit expensive. I am quite happy with the Season Pass price, and I think a lot of Smash fans will probably just go for that in the first place.
Yeah.
But yeah, they seem pretty appropriately priced, and you're getting quite a lot of bang for your buck with it too.
Yeah, I think it's totally reasonable. I haven't looked at the reaction to the prices yet, and they may come down the line once the DLC is actually released. I think some people will look at it as if you divide the cost of Smash Brothers by the amount of characters already, you're paying less than $1 per character, and that's not the right way to look at this DLC. But that's going to happen. I think for the new content you get, I think that's fair, especially with the bundle price. So
I believe Sakurai also said that they none of them will be echoes. They'll be all new characters.
Right.
And actually, I do like that
exciting.
they said they hadn't started development on these. Like they're just trying to get the main game out now. Because I don't like it when games aren't out yet and they're already telling you what the DLC is. Like they've already been working on this stuff. So I do appreciate that they're definitely not just characters that were held back to be sold later. And there's a little note saying that the DLC might not be all available until 2020. So there's a chance that we might be hanging on to Smash Ultimate's DLC count for a while.
Speaking of the DLC count, though, it is crazy to me that after all the DLC characters are out, or at least the first wave of DLC characters, if there are additional beyond this, we'll be sitting at 80 characters.
Jeez.
That's 80.
Yeah.
Like that's essentially Smash Brothers Mugen at this point. Like I never thought we'd breach 80 characters in Smash Brothers. I mean, go back to Brawl or Melee and tell your younger self, hey, you're gonna have a Smash Brothers game one day that has 80 characters. What? Like that's insane.
Yeah. And the fact that each of these comes with a stage does mean we get 108 stages. Right.
That's true. Yeah. So I guess each of the stages will be based off that DLC character. And stages is one aspect of Ultimate where I might be a little bit disappointed.
I would agree with that.
There are tons and tons of stages, but only like a small handful are new ones. And outside of like New Donk, there's nothing that really satisfies me that much.
I like Dracula's Castle.
Oh yeah, Dracula's
but I might be
Castle
a bit
too.
biased.
Yeah.
I do wish there was more than a handful of new stages, and I'll say this, and I think this is something Andre will probably disagree with, and I understand that stance, but...
If you're saying it, I'll disagree with it, yeah.
I do wish stages were unlockable too. Like, not hard, but I don't want the entire list of 103 stages available from the very get-go. I don't know. I like seeing select screens fill out, like we're going to see the character select screen.
Your own unlockables, Ash. Just put post-it notes on the screen and pretend.
There you go. Homegrown solution.
Yeah, there you go. And then we still have to unlock all the characters, so...
Right, and I'm happy. Yeah.
I do think it is weird that there wasn't any new arenas at all in this Direct, and I especially expected one for the new Pokemon, for Incineroar, so something based on the on the Alolan Islands.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
much for Pokefloats too.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, there's a bunch of Pokemon stages in the game, but 2 of them are just Pokemon Stadium variants, and then the other ones, they represent different generations, but there's nothing for Gen 7 here. And it feels weird to have this many Gen 7 Pokeball items and a Gen 7 fighter, but no Gen 7 stage.
I have a question for you guys. How do you feel about this Direct versus what was the 50 Fact Direct, the final Smash Direct for Smash Bros. Wii U?
I believe so.
It was,
okay.
Yes.
How do you feel about this one versus the 50 Fact Direct for Wii U?
I think the 50 Fact Direct was probably better as far as
I
getting you
agree.
excited, but I think this one is meteor. There's a lot more to chew on with this, and I think it helps that I think it helps that the modes are better.
Yeah, I think the 50 Fact Direct left me without questions, whereas this one I still have questions. I think that's a good thing.
That's a good thing, I think. Yeah.
I do think this Direct also shows the ambition of Ultimate. Like with Smash Wii U, we had a few cool modes, but there was nothing near World of Light. And I think this one just shows you like why this is a new game. I mean, obviously that debate's not really going on anymore. But if there were a question whether this was a brand new game or not, I think an actual adventure mode answers that. Like, yes, it is. Whereas with 50 Facts, there were some cool things in there, and it was far more informative. But I do think it's okay to have some questions unanswered until launch.
I think so, for sure.
Yeah.
It's nice that there's still some surprises waiting.
Yeah, I agree. It's nice that there are some surprises waiting. I do think the 50 Fact video was a little more fun. It was a bit cheekier. They made a few jokes, and they had more fun with itself. This was kind of more of a standard Direct, but yeah, I would say while that video was more fun, it did answer absolutely everything about the game. Whereas it is nice to have a few surprises still, specifically for World of Light, going into the game's release.
You know what? I will say there's one thing I was disappointed by, actually, now that I think back on it, is Smash Run is not back. It's one mode I felt like had potential to be something better than it was, and not here at all. So, not a huge deal, but I was kind of expecting it.
No, I already said that I didn't expect it to come back. It just didn't feel it. And after looking at what they're doing for all this, for Spirits Mode and World of Light, it kind of makes sense they would get rid of it.
Does it? Those aren't multiplayer, though.
They aren't, but they also have to model each of those enemies.
I guess that is true.
Yeah.
They already have Piranha Plant, so...
One down. Yeah.
I guess we're almost at the end here, so do we want to dive into DLC predictions, like for who the actual next characters is, or are we playing with fire there? I feel like it might be too soon.
It might be a little too soon.
You know what? I think Geno does have a shot, and we kind of dived into this with the predictions, where third-party relations might be easier when you're not producing a game, like when you have time just to develop DLC. I think third-party characters or any characters with mixed rights are probably easier doing now. And I guess you can also say to the third party that they can get a chunk of the DLC's profits or something like that. So, yeah, I do think any Microsoft character, any Square character, I think they have a much higher chance here in DLC.
I'm going to piggyback off that and say I also think Geno has a real shot at being DLC. It just feels like he does, and as we already established, being a spirit doesn't necessarily disclude you from being an actual fighter in the future. So... I feel like Geno could be a distinct possibility. I'm also still going to carry a torch for Sora. I know how unlikely he is, but God, he would be a cool DLC character. Oh my God.
They could charge $70 for Sora and people would pay it.
I would. Hey, I'm raising my hand. You can't see me, but I'm raising my hand.
Now here's the thing. That also means that Ash is going to get a Kingdom Hearts stage.
Oh. Yeah, Can you imagine a Kingdom Hearts stage with all these Disney references going on too?
Oh God.
Oh God.
That's a
it would probably be
hell.
like it would probably be like a non-Disney specific stage like Traverse Town or something.
Yeah, that'd be my guess. I'm gonna say a Dragon Quest character. I believe Geno has a good shot. I think Microsoft character has a good shot as far as the one we're all thinking of.
Master Chief.
Yep, Conqueror.
Yeah.
Got it. But I think I feel like it's so weird that we do not have another Square Enix rep. Granted, Geno could fill that role, but Dragon Quest makes more sense to me because it is so huge in Japan.
Yeah.
A Dragon Quest character of some kind.
Maybe.
And hey, we already have a Piranha Plant, so Slime could do it.
I mean, well, Piranha Plant really does show like at this point anything goes. It really doesn't matter. Anything is possibility now, which is kind of fun in a way. Like literally anything is possible.
Bandana Waddle Dee, he's actually gonna. I actually am feeling pretty good about Bandana.
I like how
Waddle
you're
Dee
inadvertently just referring to him basically as if he were a Piranha Plant. So.
Yeah, you totally are.
Oh, sorry.
I feel like they can now change everyone is here to anyone is here after the.
Well, right now everyone is dead, so
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll just echo what you guys are saying. I mean, I think my top two choices would be, I think Geno. I think it's still a likely possibility, and I think Banjo is also still a distinct possibility, especially if they're working with Microsoft on a potential Nintendo 64 Mini and get the rights to Banjo-Kazooie for that console. I think we definitely see some synergy there. So, I think it's either I'll go all out. Like it's either both of those or neither of those.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I also have one more prediction because I know people were still kind of hoping for Waluigi after he was announced as an assist trophy. My prediction is there will no current assist trophy will be promoted to fighter. They're an assist trophy and they will not change from being that.
Agreed.
Well, maybe that's where we should end it. Anything else, guys? Any final thoughts about the Direct that we didn't get out there already?
I think I'm good, and while it might not have been the best Direct, I am super hyped for this game.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too.
Yeah, I got to echo that. I do wish they ended on a bit more of a high note, but you know what? I guess World of Light was the high note, and it's what I've been wanting from Smash.
Oh, I had chills watching that the first time. Like,
Exactly.
oh my god.
Yeah, like we've always said that Smash 4 felt a bit unambitious, and the lack of single-player content might be why, and this is exactly what I
think
want
so.
from it, so yeah, I'm feeling really good about this Direct.
Yeah.
That's a great point. I think you basically said it right there.
Oh,
Sorry, Ash.
I think they slightly misjudged the character reveals in terms of what would get, people the most hype. But I think ending on World of Light, like you guys just said, was the way to go, and that was a really, really strong way to finish, even if the Direct itself maybe wasn't the best.
Yeah, I agree with that. I still thought it was a good Direct. It didn't blow me away, but I do think ending on the World of Light.
Yeah,
World
is
of
it?
Light, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I'm running on no sleep here. So I think ending on World of Light was the best idea. Although I was thinking, if they had tied the character reveal into that would have been the ultimate way to end it, right? You just when you think World of Light's over, you see like one more character stand up. And who knows what it could be. I mean, I think actually Gino would have been the perfect fit for that. Actually, just with his whole celestial, origin already. So
Like there'd be a little puppet near Kirby, and all of a sudden you see it move, and that's how that ends.
yeah, you can see like a shooting star come in and hit that puppet, and then it
Nice.
comes to life.
What if Gino is the final boss, though? What if Gino is that celestial creature?
Oh my god. That would be amazing. Alright, and with that, I think we're about done here, so thank you for watching. If you liked our discussion, make sure to like and follow us at Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. You can find links to all those in the description below. And of course, stay tuned to GameXplain for tons more about Smash Bros. Ultimate, including in-depth analysis videos, other secret videos, I'm sure, maybe more in-depth discussions. Who knows? But we'll have lots more coming. And with that, we'll catch you later. Bye.